So again, the interaction here is, between YouTube and Spotify. So if you are now at your break, good for you. You know, these are all the books that I used. The only marker that I, would come back to that Sunday. So again, I'm in Viernes, just that randomly open, and I'm gonna do that later. So where I left off here was, Estacion. So again, this is the Sacred Heart, and these are the books handed down. So that way that's where we got it, and we moved again from Christus and Tucson, which is right around this area. Oh, there. Jueves Eucharistia. Right, then we just opened up to Umaagang, Isan Sainata. Obidin Mipiniti, and there's him. So where we left off. And again, we would go here. So practicing the Judaism of him, and of many. The marker here as to where I'm at. I'm at Mina Sais na Suzi. This is right here. Going to the next line. So sunrise and sunset, I wouldn't do that until later on during the day. So that way there's some connection. And again, the opens up is, here we are, Saturday. But what again opened up was the first Sunday of Lent. Okay, I don't think I left any markers except that and what's coming up. I try to leave God the Holy Spirit to lead us. Prayer and song and how to read books is something else than reading books. And this is more than just lip service. Okay. So bearing in mind that part where, and again, what is the passion? According to Saint Mark. So we would read this. Adonai ani legnes Jesu Christu. No e. Sometimes the teacher would say I couldn't read that, and you would have to open up, or the prayer leader, and I would have to look. Ma disciplinia. Tengo na dos na ani. So you can take a look at that for yourselves, but what I was saying was from Pentecost, that part of silence. What opened up was, there's going to be a time where, the wood is what you have, and that's all you have is wood. Try the green wood. That was all the Evangelio in Chamorro at the time. In Chamorro. And so now the issue of competition, see? And why the taro and the fish is all the same, among Pacific Islanders. If you're really going to do this free market correctly. And the unsophistications that go along with it. when it comes to expecting Pacific Islanders to remain exploited forever. And we rebuke that behavior. And especially the benefactors of World War II that supported the whole thing, funded the war. And here you're reliving the wars, the Gulf Wars. So I try my very best to honor, inshallah, shukran for these resources that are yours in Afghanistan and Iraq, stolen. So coming in mind to cousins between Jews and Muslims, and why I need to remain, but I'm kind of swayed a little bit on the sides of the underdog always, right? Because their understanding of the preservation of world peace and that whole connotation that you need war in order to maintain peace, and that again is based on whose terms? The ones with fake gold, Nazi gold from Argentina, Germany, or black oil, gold, slavery, how many slaves you have. So we have to really come to terms with some of those things that we don't have, these luxuries. So whenever we break, whenever we're entering into the mysterium or mysticism of the church, heaven first, our true home, you could, come up with all of these Dante Inferno voiceovers and all of this, quasi, you're stuck in limbo or purgatory kind of thing voices, but it doesn't affect me. But there's a reality of the afterlife amongst all world religions that is still not yet clear. Some experience the after death, after life, and then come back, from death into life. Near-death experiences. So I really want to make sure that we're culture keeping correctly as to what we just experienced, what did you just hear, and how are you going to respond. So that way there's a real depth of more than lip service or playing the part or going along with the show, can't stop big business kind of thing. And we have to stop big business. We really do. If other people are suffering atomic nuclear bomb threats, provocation of war, then we really have to make sure that you're responsible for your own soul, and I'm only responsible for mine. And I'm not going to live in your fanaticism or fantasy, and vice versa, I'm sure. But in terms of how Western civilization was founded based upon the previous World War, it behooves one to really go down to the depths of what you have to share with others. And if we are taught not to trust neighbor or not to love neighbor, but to love neighbor conditionally, then we're truly not loving God totally. And I can only speak as a Roman Catholic now. Somebody who has been trained, Western civilization and the unfolding of why are all of these things important. So that should be enough to chew on today in terms of your Lenten pilgrimage. That's your Lenten pilgrimage. But if you have a wife And or a husband, a spouse, you cannot be just doing whatever you want as your Lenten journey. That is too indulgent. And there is no sacrifice in it, because God will refuse it, will refuse that Eucharistic prayer, will refuse that liturgy of the Eucharist part, will refuse that sacrifice, will refuse that to maintain whatever, the course, the reason, the rationale. And I'm saying that from a real important place, because there's no fairness in this free market thing. And how fascist you become if I don't go along with the majority rules. Again, this is nonpartisan part. We take no sides. Not in our name. So reflect on that wholeheartedly, and why you're doing what you're doing. God refuses your going out and spending natural resources just to go to church instead of walking there. The tithing and the hypocrisy behind it, the almsgiving. So pay attention to your fast, abstinence, prayer especially, and your almsgiving. Because those things now are vices. Because they feed into a hierarchical system within the church and outside the church in order to just keep up with keeping up. So learn from that. Don't stray too far from it. How these wonderful things that we think as virtues are often vice. And you can't lead the church. You can't lead the church. And if you can't lead the church, why do you remain part of it? Where is the conscientious objection to the whole thing? Where is the resignation from public offices? From, the duties amongst presbyters on that side? And the laity that's going along with it in aggressive form of Thomism. Still. Because again, it's something dead already. The faith is dead if it's like that. There's no movement of God the Holy Spirit animating your conversations, animating your prayer. God the Holy Spirit is thrown out. So really pay attention to that. Because I will not be duped by the devil and the details. So try your very best to remain faithful to God only. That's what I'm doing. So peace and nonviolence. Stop the war funding. Stop hurting each other. Thank you.